Our cultural roots grow from Georgia's rivers. Dig into their sand and cobble, and you'll find our story, because we have fished and floated them for thousands of years. For Native Americans, these waters meant sustenance. The fish weirs they built on the stream beds and mounds they stacked along their banks survive as testaments to that connection. Early Georgians followed their lead, and upon these waterways explored the state's interior and wrested the land from them. In 1800, it was not coincidence that the three largest cities in Georgia all sat on the banks of the same river: Savannah, Augusta, and long-forgotten Petersburg, now buried beneath the water of Clarkshill Lake. Intrepid boatsmen, often the enslaved, piloted flatboats down the state's first highways and then muscled them back upstream using poles pressed to the riverbed. A single day's work might produce just a few miles. Gains were often quickly lost. Macon's Phil Cook reported on part of his 3-month journey on the Oconee and Altamaha in the early 1800s.
Opposite Indian Bluff, we attempted to cross over. The bottom being very deep, we could not give sufficient pressure to make the eddy. We struck the bluff and scraped down a 1/4 mile and camped.
But even in these early days, Georgians found fun on the rivers. Among the Altamaha Sound's rice plantations, boat races provided diversions for both slaves and masters. Reported the Savannah Daily Republic in May 1851 of a Chambers Island contest.
The place of rendezvous was Mr. Charles Spaulding's rice plantation, and a beautiful spot it was. Most of the gentlemen and ladies of the surrounding country were gathered. Now the sable oarsmen extend their sinewy arms, and the boats glide over the quiet water. Friends shout on shore, the ladies join in the cheers, and the far-off woods echo to the cry.
Early state laws reflected how the state's streams provided for the populace. In 1812, legislators took great pains to keep the Oconee River unobstructed for the benefit of commerce and fishing.
Whereas a number of the good citizens of this state did purchase certain lands on the Oconee River at very exorbitant prices, which were considerably enhanced by shad fisheries, the River Oconee shall be kept open.
Where state leaders did allow construction of mill dams, they did so only with stipulations that the builder provide for passage of both boats and fish. Following the Civil War, Georgia leaders focused on rebuilding the state's economy by targeting the state's rivers with grand engineering schemes. The General Assembly approved projects to divert the Chattahoochee to manufacturers in Atlanta, drain the Okefenokee Swamp, and even connect the Coosa River in Rome with the Atlantic seaboard via a cross-state canal system. Boats and fish be damned. Dams were the South's future. By the 1940s, virtually every major river in Georgia had been dammed for hydropower, and 75% of the state's power came from white coal. Electricity made life easier, giving Georgians time to play, and by the mid-1900s, eccentric thrill seekers began seeking out the whitewater of North Georgia. By 1968, people like Bill Crawford and Horace Holden were leading trips under the Georgia Canoeing Association banner. 4 years later, something strange happened. On screen, in the movie Deliverance, fictional Georgia hillbillies terrorized big city river adventurers, and inexplicably, every person in the country wanted to head for those same hills and float down wild rivers. Whitewater paddling became mainstream. By 1974, Governor Jimmy Carter and river guide Claude Terry famously recorded the first known tandem canoe descent of Bull Sluice Rapid on the Chattooga. Simultaneously, Atlanta's Ramblin' Raft Race was born. By 1978, it brought close to 500,000 people to the Chattahoochee. It was, said Atlanta Journal columnist Ron Hudspeth,
a people watcher's paradise. All kinds of humanity appeared. Everything from families to lonely people who hope to not be so lonely by sundown.
It spawned raft races in Dublin, Rome, Columbus, and Macon. Rivers became synonymous with fun. Today, Georgia's paddle sports community is estimated at more than 1 million people. Georgia River Network's Paddle Georgia hosts more than 300 paddlers on a week-long river adventure each summer, the largest such event in the country. The organization's Water Trail Network encompasses hundreds of miles of established paddle routes. Online, tens of thousands of Georgians are part of social media groups promoting river recreation. Paddlers can be found on virtually every stream in the state, from the largest rivers to tiny creeks. Not since the days of steamboats and timber rafts has Georgia's water hosted so much floatable commerce. And as often as not, that commerce is taking place on small streams that only the most remote of upland settlers used in the 1800s. Georgia's river access laws, however, are stacked against us. Today, streams that paddlers have plied for generations are at risk of being closed to the public. Access to the rivers that root us to our cultural and natural heritage and support our state's towering economy could be lost. Now is the time to take action to protect our freedom to float.